World-renowned fisherman George Poveromo is joining me on this week's episode of Real Talk. We're going to talk about wintertime fishing, and we're going to preview his episode of World of Saltwater Fishing, where I joined him to fish in the Florida Keys. It's all right now on Real Talk. Welcome into this week's episode of Real Talk. I'm your host, Amanda Holly, joined this week by world-renowned fisherman George Poveromo. George, I'm so excited to have you on Real Talk this week because I've been on your show a lot,
right?
But now you get to join me in the studio and we get to sit down and have a conversation.
And I like it. We don't have to worry about fishing in 9-foot seas or anything like that. It's nice and comfortable here, and it gets me out of my office back home, so I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, thank you so much. We've got a lot to talk about today. I want to start by talking about some wintertime fishing because you are very experienced in all things fishing. You've been doing this your entire life, but right now it's a little chilly for us here in Florida, but we still want to get out there and fish. So first off, tell me a little bit about what's biting.
Well, wintertime is the big transition period where the summer species and they sort of move away, and now we get the wintertime warriors, as we call them. For example, off my coast, South Florida, throughout the Keys, it's sailfish time. That cold weather starts making these fish migrate. A lot of baits in the area. The king mackerel become more abundant. The Spanish and cereal mackerel, and also for bottom fishing enthusiasts, the bottom fishing, especially with groupers, they move in shallower this time of the year in the winter. So there's a lot going on, and that also, the bottom fishing transcends over on the Gulf side as well. Especially the gag groupers, they come in closer. So wintertime, it's a bunch of different species. So you have a different mindset and how you want to get ready to do it. And ironically, wintertime, and again, not to steer it back to the South Florida, but February comes up, some of the greatest tarpon fishing in the entire world is out of Miami. Within
really?
that Biscayne Bay government cut area. It's deeper water, some warmer water temps. The tarpon just start migrating there. Plus, we get the big shrimp run in Biscayne Bay. So if you're looking to really knock out a tarpon, that I almost guarantee that would be it. So a lot's happening in the wintertime, just different strategies and based on what you want to target.
Yeah, and I know, you're from South Florida, so you're familiar over there, but you come over to the West Coast sometimes, and the one thing you always talk about is our elevation change, right? Yeah, and I go so far in the Gulf to get out to those deeper depths.
But that's what makes it good, because the farther you have to run, the less pressure you're going to have. And the fishing we've done, I fished out here a lot over my career, and some of the best grouper fishing, bottom fishing is here, and like anywhere else, the farther you run, and you got some really good spots, and it's pretty amazing fishing, really is.
Let's talk about your career for just a second. Intro you for those who might not be in the fishing world as much. You have had an amazing career. First off, let's talk about your show. It's going into its 26th season, one of the longest running saltwater fishing shows on TV.
It is. And, you stun me with that, because you think 26 years, and mentally you think you've been doing this for like 3 or 4 years, but then you realize it's 26 years. It's like, that age-old question: where did the time go?
Right. And obviously, by you saying that, it doesn't get old.
No, you love it, and this is what I do, and you're so immersed in it. It's like I equate it to going to a carnival, and you're getting on that tilt-a-whirl, right? And you're having a ride of your life, and all of a sudden the ride comes on, and you're like, wait a second, I want to go more. Could you put me on for another 5 minutes or whatever? That's what it sort of feels like.
Okay.
But 26 years, an amazing run on the big national networks too, not B or C grade networks. So no, very honored to have lasted that long.
And that's your fishing show, World of Saltwater Fishing.
Yes.
But then you also have the longest running seminar series.
Correct.
That's going in its 39th year.
The 39th year, the Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series, and which will be a televised event in this year for 2026. Then there's already talk and plans for 2027, which is the 40-year anniversary tour. And they're going to plan to have a real big 8-stop ground tour, a lot of special things to help celebrate 40 years. We're going to figure out who we could fire out of a cannon during intermission, things like that. But yeah, that's even hard to believe.
Can I volunteer?
If you got good insurance, we'll fire you out of a
There
cannon.
you go.
No,
It's amazing because I've gotten to fish with you a few times on your show.
Yes.
I've also been able to co-host one of your seminars here last year in Tampa. And I mean, if there's any doubt in anyone's mind that you have experience, there shouldn't be with all of that. I mean, you're trusted and you know what you're talking about, it seems like.
We have fun with it, yes. I've been at it quite some time.
And you say you have fun with it. I can attest that George and his team are exactly the same in person as they are on TV. And it's so fun to have you here on Real Talk and be able to sit down with you.
No, it's an honor.
So let's get back to wintertime fishing just a little bit here. So we talked a little bit about what's biting now with the cooler waters, and let's talk about ice fishing a little bit. So before the show, I asked you if you've ever done it, and you have. So tell me about this episode that you filmed.
3 years ago, and I don't even know how it transpired, we went to Lake Mille Lacs in Minnesota. And actually started with Rapala, one of our sponsors, and they're based out of there. And Dan Quinn kept saying, you ought to come up and ice fish. It's really amazing with the ice fishing. And so we decided, let's go ahead and do a show because it's so out of my realm. And again, I'm South Florida native.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it gets 78 degrees. It's freezing for me.
Cold.
So we do this trip, and they had it all set up nicely where they have what they call these fish camps. It's like a Winnebago. We have your beds in there, and you have these manhole covers on the floor, and you just take the covers off, and there's this hole. And you have these little outfits, and they have this Lowrance depth sounder. You put the transducer down, and you sit on the ice, you watch the screen, and you see the fish. You drop down this little minnow, whatever, and you start catching walleye, and you start catching perch. It's like really, I mean, and we overnighted on the ice.
Okay.
And then we had to take the snowmobiles running out to do all that. It was in a totally different experience. And, would I do it again? If I lose a bet, maybe. But I'm glad I did it the first time because it was amazing. And what's funny because you're staying on there and you're all done catching fish. And so, all right, well, now it's time for dinner. How about a little cocktail or something? So where's the ice? You're trying to find a refrigerator. You don't realize you have all that snow out there. Just grab the snow and put it in. It's a different mindset.
There you go. So were you cold?
I had so many layers on me that I was actually very comfortable.
Okay.
The only problem, when it was all done, it took me, I think, 45 minutes to undress.
Yeah, then you're hot, right, by that time.
Yeah, but it was a heck of an experience, and it was actually, it was fun. And we caught so many of these perch, and they wanted to keep it for a fish fry, so we brought it back to the restaurant, back at the lodge, and he cooked it. And I tried a little joke, and I realized that I guess a lot of people there don't have my sense of humor. I had this little mounted dolphin, Mahi, I took with us, and we just a little funny thing there that I was doing some social media pictures. We're laying all the perch out on the ice and a walleye, and I put the dolphin there too. And so we went back into the restaurant. It was a bar there, and we walk in. Hey, what's the record for Mahi? And we're holding this thing, thinking we get some laughs. And they're all just grumbling, looking at us, shaking our heads, and wow, this thing really bombed here. So I don't think I guess maybe because they're stuck in that ice for so long, they have a sense of humor. Maybe
it's just too cold up there for everyone.
But we had fun. It was definitely an experience. I'm glad I did it.
All right. So yeah, at the end of the day, there are things to fish for during the winter months.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Even in, as long as the lake freezes and that people could get on it, sure. No doubt.
All right. Well, excited to keep doing that over the next couple of months. But we want to take a break right now. When we come back, we are going to talk about my episode where I got to fish with George Poveromo just a few months ago in the Florida Keys. We'll have that right after the break. Welcome back to this week's episode of Real Talk. I'm your co-host, Amanda Holly, joined this week by my co-host, world-renowned fisherman George Poveromo. And George, again, thank you for being here. So excited to have you on the episode. But I want to talk about fishing with you.
Sure.
Because we fished a couple of times.
Yes.
But this past episode that we shot, it was in the Florida Keys. We were in Isla Mirada. And we had another guest with us, marine artist Pasta Pantaleo. And it was a jam-packed episode.
It was. The fishing was absolutely great. And yes, this is the second time that we fished together. And one thing about you is that you really know your way around a boat, and you're really good, catching fish and rod and reel, so it's not like, well, I have to babysit you. That was one really good thing. So you grab the rod, you do what you do, and you're all okay, and you catch fish. So we're really happy with that. And then we were joined by noted marine artist Pasta Pantaleo, who has his art gallery in Isla Mirada, and he is an amazing artist. And it's ironic that I've known him going way back to some of the earlier fishing club meetings in Fort Lauderdale when he was just trying to get on the scene. And what he has transpired into is an amazing artist. So I figured that would be really good because of the hook to the show. Meteorology meets artistry. So we have a meteorologist in you.
Yep.
So we put you in charge of controlling the weather. And for the most part, you did good. You got a little rainy on that second day. So I'll give you a B+ on the curve. And then we have Pasta. And it's funny because Pasta and I, we look at things differently when we fish.
Yes.
He looks at fish in the sea for the colors from an artist standpoint. And he'll look at a yellowtail or a mahi, and he gets so deep into these colors. And I'm thinking, man, just put that thing in a fish box. I see that thing being on a plate later that night. So it's sort of like different views on it. And then you're there with the meteorology part of it. And yeah, we crushed the first day we chased down the mahi.
We did.
Second day we did the reefs, and that's when we had these storms moving in. So we were relying on you to give us some good advice.
I was keeping an eye on radar. We were moving north. We were moving south.
And we had a good yellowtail bite, and we were doing well. And that storm was still far away, but it was heading our way. And you're the one who said, it's going to be here. We need to pull anchor, which I was really reluctant to do. But I thought, well, I have to go on your experience here, and that's what we did. And then I think that storm eventually moved over to the area.
It did.
But yeah, it was an action-packed day. We combined a lot of things: offshore trolling and run and gun and reef.
Yes. And then the third day is when we actually sat down, and so Pasta and I and George, of course, we all fished together for the first 2 days. But the third day, that's when we actually sat down, and you had Pasta teach me how to paint.
Yes.
And I'm not an artist by any means. I'm very science. I'm very numbers. I can do all of that. When it comes to drawing or painting, it was not my thing. So I didn't know what to expect. But this was the coolest thing that I have done in a very long time. So he's a very good artist. You see some of the video of all of his paintings there from his shop in Isla Mirada. And I'm like, it's not going to come out good. We started with a blank canvas, and you'll kind of see some of the video progression of how it all came out. And he's a very good teacher too. He
is, and he did set that up. He said, "I'm going to get Amanda in here. I'm going to teach her how to do a mahi, since that was our featured fish." And sure enough, he showed you the shortcuts, told you what to do on it, and mix up the paints. And I'm sitting there with the crew. We're watching this, and man, look at that, starting to look like a mahi. And so under his tutelage, you did a phenomenal job with it, and it was an amazing after product to see it. And then, it's a great souvenir. And some rumor tells me, I heard, I was going to ask you if it's true or not, that you sold that for $100,000 on eBay. Is that true?
I wish. No, I'm just kidding. That is my priceless piece of artwork that will be, nowhere else but my office.
What a souvenir. If you really think about
it.
That.
It really is. Hung on my wall. I mean, that's the end product. I would have never thought that this was coming out like this at the end. We literally started with a blank canvas, and he's like, draw these dark lines, real boxy, squares and circles. And he's like, it's fine. We'll cover it up. I didn't believe him. It turned out awesome.
Much more confidence in you with that than me, because even as a kid coloring something, I can't even stay in a line. So he figured I was just a waste. But he had, a future with you and knew that you could do that, I think.
Yeah. Well, it turned out well. I don't know if it could ever be repeated, but, with his help, it was amazing. So that was the third day. And, maybe I'll have Pasta join me on a future episode of Real Talk, because
that'd be awesome.
To talk painting and fishing, because you're right. He did look at the fish totally different.
Yes.
The first day we caught mahi, which are really colorful fish. And sometimes they have blues, sometimes they have greens. When you get them out of the water, they change colors as well. But let's talk about our day fishing for mahi a little bit. We did a lot of trolling.
Yes.
And we had to look for the birds that day.
It was a challenging day in that the dolphin were really scattered.
Yeah.
And when we had come upon some weed lines, we trolled, but they were moving fast. We would find the birds, and normally when you see birds, we'd run up and we would get into them. But when you see the birds and we would approach, they would just keep racing away.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, we had to get to where we had to race into the birds, pitch out either a chugger or something.
Yeah. And you brought them to the boat.
Yeah, and get one or two, and that school kept moving on. So it was like a drag race to the next birds, and you had to run in, get a few, and then they would take off, and it was really challenging. Just, but we did well, but that's how we had to do it. They were really on the move.
Really good. I mean, we came home with a full box of mahi, had some great fish tacos later that night.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next day we did some yellowtail fishing there. So it was a fun day. The episode airs this Sunday.
It is on Discovery Channel, George Poveromo's World of Saltwater Fishing, 8 o'clock. And, so you're going to see the whole replay or it unfolded in its entirety this Sunday. And if somebody happens to miss it on Sunday, they could watch it on my YouTube channel, which is George Poveromo TV. So once Discovery airs that, like 2 minutes later, we stick it on my YouTube. Because by contract, they've got to get the first shot at the airing.
Fair.
So we give them a 2-minute lead.
2-minute lead.
So right after that, they could go over and watch it.
So that airs
YouTube
Sunday
channel.
at 8 a.m. I'm excited to see it. I have not seen it yet, so I'm excited.
Then you get a re-air now in
right.
second quarter on ESPN2. So our first quarter, we air Discovery. Second quarter goes on ESPN2. So a lot of people are going to see that show.
Yes, new this year, which is pretty exciting. New audience to bring into the world of fishing. So we always love that, right?
Of course.
bring in new fishermen. But at this time on the episode, this is when we like to bring in you on Real Talk. You guys have sent me some pictures on social media, and we want to feature those pictures here. George, this was actually caught down in somewhat your neck of the woods, down in Cudjoe
Sure,
Key,
lower Florida Keys.
A snowy grouper down there.
Big deep drop fish. Somebody's fishing way deep to catch the snowies. You're looking 900, 11, 1,200 some odd feet or so for those, and that's a very impressive one.
And that is a very impressive one. So awesome picture there. Thanks for sending that one to us, Dennis. The next one here sent us to JoJo, a cold weather fish. I thought this one was fitting.
That wasn't caught in Biscayne Bay.
No, Alaska. We caught a nice halibut there. And our last one comes to us from Tom, also your neck of the woods, George. Somewhat, you catch more sailfish over there than we do here.
Which is true. You have them too. You just have to run far out.
We do.
Yep, sailfish time going on now. So looks like he had a very nice sailfish, and like I mentioned, his name sounds very familiar. And I know if he likes a lot of the stuff that I do on my Facebook, or maybe he's one of the guys that wrote me a lot of hate mail. I'm not sure yet, but I recognize that last name from somewhere. I don't know.
Well, we want to see more of your pictures and your videos. Thank you for sending those to us. You can always send them, and I will feature them here on Real Talk, WFLA.com/report it. That is going to do it for us on this week's episode of Real Talk. George, again, can't thank you enough for joining me. I have a feeling we're going to see you on a future episode of Real Talk. But don't forget, you can watch every episode wherever you listen to or watch your podcasts on all those streaming platforms there. So we'll see you next time on Real Talk.